homeowners associations, commonly known as HOAs. They sound harmless enough, right? Just a group of neighbours working together for the common good. Like a bunch of neighbours getting together to plan a potluck or a block party, sharing laughs and building a sense of community. And in theory, that's the idea, a collective effort to enhance the neighbourhood experience. HOAs are supposed to maintain the quality of life in a community, ensuring that everything looks pristine and orderly. They're meant to keep things looking nice, handle shared spaces, and maybe even boost property values. Sounds great, doesn't it? A dream come true for any homeowner. Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get shady. The reality can be far from the idyllic picture. The problem is these seemingly well-intentioned organizations can quickly morph into something far more sinister, becoming a source of stress rather than relief. They can become bastions of unchecked power, riddled with conflicts of interest and rife with opportunities for corruption. The very people you trust can turn into power-hungry enforcers. We're talking about real people, often your neighbours, wielding the power to levy fines, dictate the colour of your front door, and even force you into foreclosure. Imagine the horror of losing your home over a minor infraction. And the kicker, they often get away with it. The system is designed in such a way that accountability is minimal. This isn't about a few bad apples spoiling the bunch, it's about a systemic issue. This is about a system that's inherently flawed, one that's ripe for abuse and often leaves homeowners feeling trapped, powerless, and deeply, deeply screwed. The emotional and financial toll can be devastating. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the murky world of HOA corruption and the very real impact it has on homeowners across the country. The stories you're about to hear are not isolated incidents. Let's be clear. This isn't about hating on well-run HOAs or the good folks who volunteer their time. Many HOAs do a fantastic job. This is about shining a light on the dark underbelly of a system that's supposed to protect homeowners, not exploit them. It's time to expose the truth and seek reform. Let's talk about Richard Gary Best, a man who thought he had found his perfect home. Richard was just your average homeowner living in a community developed by Centex Construction, a company known for its large-scale projects. He thought he was buying into the American dream, a place where he could build a future and create lasting memories. Little did he know, he was stepping into a nightmare that would turn his life upside down.
You see, Centex, a massive home-building corporation, had a controlling interest in the HOA, giving them significant power over the community. They stacked the board with their own people, folks more interested in lining their pockets than serving the community's best interests. Richard, like many homeowners, started noticing shoddy construction and questionable fees that seemed to have no justification. But when he dared to speak up, the HOA retaliated with a vengeance. They slapped him with bogus fines, harassed him relentlessly, and even tried to foreclose on his home, making his life a living hell.
Richard's case is a chilling example of what can happen when HOAs become tools for corporate greed, silencing dissent, and punishing homeowners who dare to question the status quo, no matter how justified their concerns. This wasn't just a case of a few bad actors, it was a widespread issue. This was a systemic issue, with a powerful corporation pulling the strings behind the scenes, manipulating the system to their advantage. It exposed the vulnerability of homeowners facing off against well-funded, well-connected HOAs, showing just how little power individuals have in such situations. Richard's story serves as a stark reminder that when it comes to HOAs, the appearance of community often masks a ruthless pursuit of profit, leaving homeowners like Richard to fend for themselves in an unfair battle. Now, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, don't HOAs have to follow rules? And you'd be right, sort of. They do have covenants, conditions and restrictions, or CC&Rs. These documents outline the rules of the community. But here's the catch. Those rules can be incredibly broad and open to interpretation. We're talking about rules governing everything from the length of your grass to the type of welcome mat on your doorstep. And guess who gets to interpret those rules? You guessed it, the HOA board. This creates a dangerous power imbalance where unelected officials can essentially hold homeowners hostage to their whims. Need to paint your house? Get ready to submit 5 colour samples and a written request. Want to put up a satellite dish? Be prepared to argue your case in front of the Architectural Review Committee. And heaven forbid you park your car slightly over the line. That'll be a hefty fine, thank you very much. The problem with these seemingly innocuous rules is that they can be wielded as weapons. They can be used to target specific homeowners, stifle dissent, and create a culture of fear and silence. Section 4. Conflicts, crimes, and catch the ugly side of HOAs. Now let's talk about the really juicy stuff, the corruption that often lurks beneath the surface. Remember how we mentioned conflicts of interest? They're more common than you might think. Well, they're as rampant in HOAs as dandelions in an unmowed lawn, spreading unchecked and causing chaos. We're talking about board members awarding lucrative contracts to their buddies, often without any competitive bidding process, skimming money from community funds and manipulating financial records to cover their tracks. Some even engage in outright embezzlement, pocketing money meant for community improvements.
And then there's the criminal negligence that puts residents at risk. We've seen cases where HOAs ignore safety hazards, leading to injuries and even deaths, all because they refuse to act. They turn a blind eye to dangerous conditions, all while continuing to collect dues and levy fines, showing a blatant disregard for safety. It's a toxic mix of power, money, and a complete disregard for the well-being of the very people they're supposed to serve, creating a hostile environment.
What's worse, holding these HOAs accountable is like trying to nail jelly to a wall, an almost impossible task. They often operate with a shocking lack of transparency, making it nearly impossible for homeowners to see where their money is going or how it's being spent. And when homeowners do try to speak out, they're often met with intimidation, harassment, and legal threats, silencing their voices. It's a classic case of David versus Goliath, except Goliath has a team of lawyers and a penchant for fining you for having the wrong shade of beige on your mailbox, making the fight seem hopeless. Section 5. Justice delayed, justice denied, homeowners in limbo.
Homeowners often find themselves stuck in a frustrating limbo, waiting for justice that never seems to come. Legal battles can drag on for years, draining their resources and their spirits. It's a grueling process, and many simply give up, feeling defeated and powerless.
The lack of timely justice not only affects the individual homeowners, but also erodes the trust and cohesion within the community. People start to feel isolated, unsure of who they can turn to for help. It's a sad state of affairs, and one that underscores the urgent need for reform in the way HOAs are governed and held accountable.